best this year to bless this here mic till your brain burst. Our guest appeared twice and the check will clear 3 times for the same verse. I was always a demon.
Hello everyone, this is Darko 2012 with Global Government News, and it's been about a good 4 weeks, month until I made my last video, and prior to that I'd only made maybe a few in the month previous to that. So all around it's really been about 2 months since I've really been busting out videos, but not really sure what the future holds for me as far as making these news commentary types of videos where I basically cover news articles and recent news articles, and then I kind of give my little opinion or my take on how I perceive it, because that's all that really matters, is how we perceive things. And you know, for people who think that this BP oil spill is just another rich corporate greed, they don't care about the environment, that could well be it. You know, that may just be what it is, just, you know, greed. But there's always reasons for everything, and the powers that be usually know about disasters before they actually happen. So this video, I guess you can call it, is going to be a two-parter. And I'm going to cover the BP oil explosion / spill, and just cover different points. You may have already heard of these points already on YouTube or different websites or just in the mainstream news. But the reason I cover most of this stuff is because if it isn't in the mainstream news, I cover it because of that reason. Big points that were missed. And this is one that I never really, of all my, the past month or two, I was away from the internet, but I was watching mainstream news with the people I was staying with, and I not once did I hear this come up. Goldman Sachs new Gulf oil leak in advance. Yes, folks, that's right. Goldman Sachs, who was short selling around the dot-com bubble and then around the 9/11 disaster with the airline industry, they gained off that disaster. And then with the housing bubble, the housing crisis, they made money off that disaster. And then it looks like they're making money off this BP explosion disaster oil spill by basically selling off stocks, betting that there was going to be some kind of problem or issue in the Gulf, which was based off this company called TransOcean. So, but let me just get into these articles here, and it takes a little bit of snippets of it. It's not a big article, but it just says Goldman Sachs new Gulf oil leak in advance. Do you still remember the bin Laden trading in stock market before the 9/11 attack? Someone made money to short sell the airline stock on that terror attack, and it says, quote, "No joke, Goldman Sachs shorted Gulf of Mexico. It turns out that Goldman Sachs really did place shorts on TransOcean stock days before the explosions rocked the rig in the Gulf of Mexico, sending stocks plunging while Goldman Sachs profits soared, benefiting once again from a huge disaster, having done the same with the airline stocks prior to the 9/11, then again with the housing bubble." And this was by Sterling D. Allan, Pure Energy Systems News. So, and I guess it's important to just cover this, finish it up here. It says on April 30th, and this article was published June 1st, 2010, and this is smirkingchimp.com. But it says on April 30th, the Huffington Post published a story stating, "In what is looming as another public relations predicament for Goldman Sachs, the banking giant admitted today that it made a, quote, substantial financial bet against the Gulf of Mexico one day before the sinking of an oil rig in that body of water." And so, And here's another article from Fox Business, foxbusiness.com, and this was published on April 12th, 2010. It says Halliburton to buy Boots and Coots for $232 million. And you ask yourself, what the heck is Boots and Coots? Well, my dog's name is Boots. That's the only thing that I thought was kind of cool at first, but it really wasn't that cool because when I found out what it really was, it was Halliburton, the company that Dick Cheney sat on and worked for, but I think he has an invested interest with this company still, but I'm not exactly sure on that. But it's basically, it's an oil reclamation company. It's for oil spills. It's just like, yeah, it's just a coincidence that Goldman Sachs was betting that there'd be a tragedy in the Gulf, and then Halliburton, would be buying up this oil reclamation company, which will be up and running by the end of the summer, right around August. It says oil giant Halliburton announced late Friday that it will purchase emergency response oil control company Boots and Coots in a deal valued at around $232 million. Says, yeah, emergency response oil control company. So, and I just wanted to make this one point before I moved on to the third article here, and that is, while I was watching the mainstream news and I was watching what most of the sheeple out there are watching, they even had on one of the nightly news segments, ABC or CBS, one of those propaganda stations, and they basically had the individual who is kind of the head engineer for that oil rig in the Gulf that went, boom boom, and he almost died. I mean, it was a very sad story because the guy was getting pats on the back and everybody was saying, good job and way to go, because, that was the biggest oil rig. I'm sorry, let me correct myself. That was an oil rig that was, if not the biggest or the longest, right, the deepest. It was the deepest drilling so far, I believe. And if anything else, if I'm wrong or inaccurate, if you know something else, just let me know on the comment board. But from going off of that little news segment, the guy almost got killed. He kept running around trying to survive, and the story was it was horrible. But long story short, he was saying that they knew about the problem before it actually happened. So before the explosion, he said that the people that make the real calls, that are sitting on land in their mansions, they told them to keep production, in order to keep production up, that they would just make the shortcuts. So you had Alex Holder. Then you had the Attorney General, Eric Holder, and they're all, to calm the public's dismay. They basically came out and said, "Oh, we're gonna go after BP criminally by using the EPA, under the Clean Air Act and whatever bullshit they came up with." But it had nothing, they were saying that because they knew that they couldn't exactly do anything with that. But I guess I'm kind of going off here already. But I just wanted to make that point was that this is basically negligence. What they did, what BP did, they could have prevented it, and the government isn't even going to go after the BP for knowingly skipping corners and putting all the lives of their crew and the wildlife and the environment at risk by trying to, quote, make a few bucks, right? So I just want to stipulate that. So nothing will be done unless they go after them criminally for negligence, because BP could have avoided this disaster. So that's why I just want to make that point, because it's very interesting that big companies like this, big globalist companies like BP and Halliburton and Goldman Sachs, somehow, if one's not profiting, the other will be. So join me in this two-part series of the BP disaster. Thank you.